think yesterday I forgot
I don't
to
think I remember.
unmute the Phil mics. Michelle's got muted, so I don't think we recorded any audio yesterday. Let's see, stop. There we go. Okay. So that is going. All right. So, Nathaniel, can you please work with Hava
Yeah.
on that? Do you want to chat there, Justin?
What is that?
It says only the coldest. It's coldest.
You made a mess.
Did I? What mess are you seeing? Me or you?
Oh, that's cool. My feelers are hurt.
Your feelers? Yep.
Don't worry, Michelle. It's me.
Are you still talking to me?
Yes.
What's that?
I said I'm the mess.
Side.
That's very,
Side.
I don't know how to say that to you. I need actual flashcards.
No. You should.
Are you still talking to me?
He's not talking to you, but he's talking about you. Spell it.
No way.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Today?
Nothing more to eat.
Ooh, what's that?
So there was a couple that used to come here before they moved away,
So,
and the lady created these little worksheets
Ooh.
for the studies. I don't have a whole lot of them, so I'll give you a few copies and then you can make more copies.
Yeah, that works. I can make more copies.
There you go.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, are these all the same? Oh,
Yeah,
I don't need that.
so it breaks it down for you pretty
Michelle,
good.
do you have extra pens to use?
I do, but if you run off with it, I hunt you down. I know where you sleep.
Alright.
Oh, wow. So you like do this like
Just leave it on
for
the table.
each?
What?
I think that's too much work for each of us.
Yeah, you do that for each word.
Each word. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of,
We don't usually.
that's a lot of work.
You want like
Word.
it down.
I just keep it in memory.
But hey, if it helps, I'm all about it. Lemon. Root ring.
There's people on the screen.
Yep.
Do we have actual flashcards around here?
Cyan.
No.
Tet.
I have way too many.
Yod. That one is This looks like pie.
I gotta take over.
What is this?
Hey,
Those are things that are gonna help you learn.
Just these all these pages.
They're, each one is a different worksheet.
That was super confusing.
So I take all these with me.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super confusing.
You're confusing.
I'd rather be
Just, what are you doing coloring on? Coloring too.
Huh?
No.
Right.
I don't know what it is, a valve maybe?
Okay, after we're 15 down.
This is a valve, that's a valve.
Okay, after we're 15 down. That's a ball.
There you are. Did you walk around?
Yeah.
And actually, Mary Ann happened to be coming too. Oh.
Okay.
But I didn't know.
So,
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I'm not.
okay. No, I messed it up. No, what's this? Okay.
How about your favorite thing that you
Stop distracting me.
What are
Cat. Okay, restart.
This is the real one.
Can't remember what.
I don't know why I can't like make that one.
If it helps any, you know, Revelation where he says it's the beginning and the end.
Omega?
Yeah, but then there's the A and the B. It's technically the elephant.
Oh, this is Zion. Whoops. Here's that.
Oh.
Because the top is the
This is
letter of the elephant.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So that's like the Omega symbols kind of, but not really.
No, I don't know what that word is.
But I don't know that part either.
Cases.
And I don't want to lead you in the wrong direction.
Zion.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you save that question for the one that can answer.
Okay. It's like a, well, it's a different kind. It's not a Hebrew letter for Omega. That's a Greek. But I don't think it's the same.
That's
This is just, this is the seasonal baseline. So blue was back then. Now, it's right.
Text.
The thresholds are going up.
Ryan just tat.
For food, right, this is food. Yeah, and this is how it normally rolls. So we're about, so right now, I mean, it did spike up, but now we're about.
What tends to happen when people decide
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hey, Rabbi.
Yes.
So I know we talked about Ani and Anochi, right?
Yep.
But then for she and it, we have he and he.
Say that one more time, sorry, I didn't quite catch
See right
that.
here? Says he
Uh-huh.
and he.
Yes.
So is that the same concept? One is more formal and the other one is,
Not
common?
that I'm aware of. And I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that in that case. I mean, it's possible, it's just it's an alternative spelling for that particular third person feminine singular pronoun.
so it doesn't recommend the one that's more commonly used.
You know, I've seen both of them. I can't even, I don't really have a feeling for which one is presented more often. But you do have to understand context here because this one here is very similar, and it's actually identical when it comes to just consonants, other than the actual vowel. And note here, the 3MS is spelled exactly the same way. So you would, that could throw you for a loop if you were to have vowel points. And so you used, but that is, that's probably used more often, but I've seen that enough where it's not like super rare.
So tell me again, how do I know when
But
to
I would
use
say,
what?
compared to the first one, this one is definitely more irregular, just because it is the same, shares the same consonants as the third person masculine singular personal pronoun.
Okay.
Good question.
Thank you.
Just roll in here.
Oh, yeah, you are.
You want me to make some coffee?
Sure. Ken Bevakasha, yes please.
That's calm. That's calm.
Right.
Everybody got a handout here.
Hope you got it.
It has helped, but I think that's probably the only way I remember that conversation.
You're welcome.
A whole long tournament conversation with somebody the next
Hey, whatever else.
That worked? Yep.
Good.
All right, guys, let's pass out the kiddos cups, and we'll get rolling. How was your day at work?
Told me all.
Baruch Hashem.
Yay, make sure you guys will spell that. Yep. Grab your.
Scheduled to be on through.
Rabbi, are the Hebrew tests verbal or written?
They are a little bit of both, but mainly I have done verbal.
I just want to know how much it is I need to memorize.
It's for, someone who decides to go through a bar mitzvah. There's a number of different, things in curriculum they have to go through. One of them is the Hebrew, general knowledge of Hebrew. And so I'll ask them, for instance, okay, what is the third person masculine and singular personal pronoun? And instead of writing it down, I just want them to tell me, But there's some of them so much that I'll just have them, write the answer down. And then just, I'll just give them a certain amount of time to, a liberal amount of time to finish the test.
I think next week I might need somebody to go over flashcards with me.
Yeah.
So I can
Have you made the
memorize it.
flashcards?
Hmm?
Have you made the flashcards yet?
No,
Okay.
but I will.
Yeah, make the flashcards and go. That alone will be extremely effective if you go through them. And just like I said, it's just one section at a time. And if you think of the whole, it's totally overwhelming. But
Yes.
it's like there was a Jewish parable that goes something like this. The king asked the people of his town, said, whoever can remove this large boulder, there's going to be a bag of gold underneath it. And use it. It's this massive, probably a talent size, like 1,000-pound boulder. And if you can move it, then then you'll get the prize. And everybody's like, oh, that's impossible, that's impossible. And so one guy goes to his rabbi and tells him about the problem. And he says, oh, it's easy. He's like, what do you mean it's easy? He knows this old rabbi, it's easy. All you have to do is take it one piece at a time.
Well played.
There's the old non-Jewish saying, how do you eat an elephant? Because the Jews would say you don't.
Yeah, exactly right.
But it's one bite at a time.
Nachon. Ani lo רוצה את זה.
Yeah.
I do not want it.
Nope.
All right, guys. Nevarech, let us bless.
One.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei porei hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah. Amen. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us through his commandments and has commanded us to be occupied with the words of the Torah. We thank you for this time. We thank you for your word that we are able, and through Ruach HaKodesh, are enabled to be occupied with your word and to study it, Abba. We pray that as we do that, you would show us wondrous things from your Torah, hide it in our heart, and Abba, help us to understand and learn the Lashon HaIvrit, the Talmud Hebrew that you've given to us, Father, that you've revealed yourself to in Abba, which we also understand as the Lashon HaKodesh, the Holy Tongue. So we bless you and we thank you for this time. In Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. Chaim B'Yeshua.
Chaim B'Yeshua.
All right, so we are in Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus, chapter 9, verse 19. And for those who are following us along online, or perhaps even have a computer here as we study, we are using the resource, the blbclassic.org. That's blbclassic.org, and you can go to the search window for the verse and type in EXO for Exodus, and then 9:19. It'll bring you to that verse, and you click on the C. C is for concordance, and you'll see all the Hebrew information that we're looking at. And you can follow along and see very clearly what we're looking at, because if you try to look through the live streaming, the camera, you will probably not be able to see very well what is on the wall that everybody's looking at, or the sheets that we have passed out, of course. So again, it's chapter 9, verse 19 of Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus. And who would like to go first today? That's quite a big verse to begin with.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay, Nehemiah.
Is it Ve'ata?
Ve'ata.
Is there a root?
Well, we have a word here. It's not
Oh,
word.
I know what it is. And you are?
That's a good guess, but here's the distinction. This is why that's not correct.
Now. Oh.
Atah is, it sounds like the atah that you're thinking of, which is the personal pronoun, the second person masculine personal pronoun in the singular. But that spells with an aleph. Now, what's the difference between the atah that spells with an aleph and this one? This one begins with an ayin.
Oh.
That is the distinction. So when it spells with an ayin, atah is now. It comes from the word eight, which refers to time. And so with the addition of the vowels and the extra hey here, we have the word now. And then what is the vav there?
And.
Yeah, the vav is the conjunction meaning and. So how would you translate then ve'ata?
And now?
And now. Good job. Baruch Hashem. All right. And Michelle, do you want to
Sure.
give it a try here?
Shalach.
Shelach.
The going root.
The
Shalach.
shorish. Yeah. Yep.
Which means to send.
Yeah. So the shorish is shalach, meaning to send. And anything else you see about this word that perhaps is a little bit different, that's communicating a little bit more information than just the rit here?
No?
That's okay. So if anybody doesn't know the answer to that, make sure you write down notes instead of writing little guys on your paper, Mr. Guidon. Underneath the first letter, when you're dealing with a verb, oftentimes, I won't say always because there's always an exception, seems like. With verb rits, when you have a shava underneath the first letter, and you don't have any pronominal suffixes or anything of that nature, that's just because sometimes you will have a shava if you have a suffix and it's just rushing the pronunciation to the end. But in this case, when you don't have that and you have a shava underneath the first letter, that is often going to be the sign of the imperative form. The imperative form is like a request or a command form. So the same difference would be between shma and shama. Shma is with a sheva that we see here underneath the sheen in that particular word. So shama means to hear, to listen. Shema is the imperative form, which means to listen with the intent to obey. So it's the same thing here. Here we have shilach as opposed to shalach. So it's ve'ata shlach. So it's and now like send, like command.
So you can't just use the word send, it would be like.
Yeah, it's definitely in the imperative. So I would just use the word send. I mean, I'm sure you'd probably think of another word to
Oh, I see.
throw in there, or
If it's imperative,
Let's see, anything archaic we can throw in there?
I get it.
Giddy up? Or no, because that's telling the person to go. It's like, because send is like telling someone to send something, you know, obviously. So it's like
Yeah.
Dispatch, maybe dispatch.
Yeah, yeah,
Dispatch.
So I just wanna make sure that I understand.
Yeah.
So when there's a Shabbat at the beginning of the word, like that one,
With the verb, yep.
then it becomes imperative.
And yeah, if it doesn't
which
have a
means
suffix,
it's
it's probably,
something that you are telling somebody to do.
yeah, like a command, or it could be a request. It's not always a command form.
Okay.
Because you can use imperative forms with Hashem, and we don't command God to do anything, right?
But if there was a prefix, it would change that, right?
If there's a suffix, that might
Oh, suffix.
that might be changed at that point.
Okay.
Because oftentimes when you have a suffix, like let's say like the suffix nu, short for nachnu, a lot of times it'll abbreviate the first vowel, the very first letter, and rush the pronunciation to the end there.
Okay.
So v'ata shlach, alrighty, and I think we're, I guess we're going counterclockwise this time. I don't know how that happened, but I'll take full responsibility. Baruch?
I take full credit.
No, it's your turn.
Nice try though, buddy.
Wait, whose turn?
We're going counterclockwise this
Yeah.
time. We're changing it
You're
up.
not
We don't want you to
pass.
get
Yeah.
it right.
Pass.
We're giving our newer Hebrew learners a breather here. That's okay.
Oh, gosh.
It's good to be flexible. What's that? Very close. It's not a z sound like a zadi. It's more like a z. So try it with just a z. Ha'ez. Good job. Ha'ez. Mahashorish ha'ez. What is the root of ha'ez? It's ooze, yes. You should have that on your sheet there. So ooze is the idea of, it's only found in the Hefil in the Tanakh. And the idea is to take refuge, maybe even to bring to refuge, or to seek refuge in some cases. It looks like it is sharing the same root for, it looks like it's sharing the same root for strength.
O's.
Yeah. Let's see what the Gesenius says on this one here. It's not. This apparently is not used very often in the Tanakh.
Not at all.
See if they make any connection with.
Oh,
the-
it did say to strengthen,
Where?
up higher, right there. Strong says,
Oh.
can recruit to be strong.
Oh, yes. So apparently they agree with my assessment. But apparently, and Gesenius usually is on the spot. So to flee for refuge.
It's only found in
And
the
it seems the,
field.
yeah, the Hefil. So it seems that the context does,
Cause they have it, they use it always together.
that again here. Yeah, they have these 3 different lexicons, and let's see, take refuge, to flee for refuge. Well, I guess the Gesenius and the
Maybe they get gathered
Brown
because
Divers Briggs.
you're making them strong by putting them away, gathering them, putting them away, strengthens them or something. Maybe that's how the idiom was used.
Maybe the idea is to like to bring to refuge is the idea of like I wish that you would show us a little bit more etymology here, but maybe the idea is like to scoop up, you know, in the sense of whisking away, or you know, the idea of that refuge aspect that they keep on underlining there. I wish there was a little bit more incidence of the use of this word here, so we could.
Because you think the oo sound would be the passive of
Yeah.
the strong, the o's.
Well, and
Like you make them stronger,
and this is the Hefil, the sign of the He with the kamatz underneath there.
right?
Is the Hefil, and this should be a biconsonantal. Let's see here, I'll pull up the.
I was gonna make more of those, but we don't have any color machines available right now.
In Biaya.
And it keeps reminding me, I need to get my letter ready. I forget every time I get out of here.
It's incredible. I bring a bunch in and then they all disappear. It's a conspiracy.
Okay, so
Exactly. Who's getting rid of them for
Okay, so maybe put like a hidden camera where the doors are if you guys would start with the doors open.
so here's our bicons, and this does not have a it's not in the imperfect because it doesn't have a prefix. So, but interesting enough, there's a kamatz underneath this one. So hold on. Oh, that's because it's. I think it's still in the imperative form here, because it's like the idea is send, gather, right?
Oh yeah, it has.
And that's exactly the form we
Yeah,
see
right
here.
there.
So the hay with the, I'll try to make this bigger so everybody can see this a little better. So under the verb diagnostics, under the he fill, we're looking at the bicon. Bicon means biconsonantal. And obviously, that just means there's two consonants. The vav is technically not a consonant in this word. And so the form here, this is the imperative column of the bicon. And you have a hey and a comma, it's highlighted in red, and then you have the zere. So the zere is that vowel is a part of that. So it's the imperative he fill form that we see here. So it's like, so yeah, I think you were saying right, so the idea of if you have the basic word to strengthen from O's or Oz, and then you put it into a he fill form, cause to be strengthened, the idea is, you bring them together into a tight group, and it's like you're
Right.
strengthening.
Right.
Yeah, it's still a strange way to communicate
Only that
gather.
We're dealing with, but
Yeah.
if we gathered reeds together, it'd make it.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, because that three things, metal stick, would be hard to break. But still, the refuge thing. I guess you can connect the idea of refuge and strength together. You know, like a tower of strength is refuge, but it seems like a little bit of a stretch. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't-
All right. Well,
they only use it 4 times, so I guess.
yeah, it's not used.
Roll over it
We're
too
just.
much.
This is one of those things you just kind of have to remember. You
Yeah.
know, and
So
be.
how did you translate that one?
Hot A's would be to cause to, well, no, the he fill form would simply be to gather. It has from the root of to strengthen.
So then.
So it's an imperative form. It's like gather. So first he's ve'ata shelach ha'ez, send, gather.
And now.
So the
send,
hey then
gather.
is not a definite article on the front of that?
Nope.
No.
Why does it not?
Generally, you would not consider that a definite article if you're dealing with a verb. If you're dealing with a noun, then that would be a reasonable conclusion to come to. But with a verb, if you have that hey on the front of it, it's probably one of the binyanim, one of the verb tenses, and well, not always, likely the he fill, because it can also be the knee fall. Correct? Last week, one of those threw us for a loop, and so we don't get that very often. We have to remember that that could, in some cases, be a knee fall form. But as we can see here, a knee fall is a passive, and we're dealing with active commands here. So context wouldn't fit that. Context is important. All right, good question. And I think it is Raven, yes. Didn't you just go?
You get them all. No, it's me. He said me. You just did the one.
Yeah, I think he was
You're
like,
okay
what, you're
with it.
skipping me?
No, I thought you guys were gonna do me
All right.
Et miknecha. Miknecha.
Mhm.
So et is assigned a direct object pointing back to what's being acted upon by the previous verb, which we're translating as gathering. So what are they gathering? Mikne.
Mikne.
Which are cattle.
Generally, yeah,
Yeah,
speaking.
I mean, that's what it's usually translated, but we always talk about it could
and
be a herd
and
of
Beri-
dinosaurs.
and Bereshit, it could be a herd of dinosaurs, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
It's like a cattle can be the idea of like some type of livestock, like a group of them. But it's it comes from this root of kana, which means to like possess or to purchase. So the idea is almost like things that are, I think it became understood as cattle because the idea is it's something that
That was the most expensive.
that you owned. It was like property, and cattle was one of those things that was just like a symbolic of you owning, like being an owner.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you didn't have cattle in the days of old, you probably weren't that rich, right? I don't
Right,
know.
yeah, I mean, that's how you,
I mean, even that speaks of the patriarchs having many cattle. You know, that was like a symbol that they were doing well, right?
and the Lord himself owns cattle and a thousand.
Exactly. Yeah. So it seems to
You ready for more questions?
related to that. Sure.
Okay. So I know that the Harik is a short vowel. So the Shiva normally would be silent, right?
Correct.
But then the
Yep,
rule of the
it
Shiva,
is.
and I'm not saying that you guys are wrong, I'm just trying to understand,
Sure.
is that if you have two Shivas,
Mm-hmm.
one after the other,
Mhm.
then the first one becomes vocal and the second one is silent.
You're close.
No,
It's
yeah.
it's you're close. It's actually the second one that's silent.
vocal.
So the first one closes the consonants.
Why didn't you
So
say
meek,
the
and then the second one is ne. So you have the Shiva as that second vocal one. So you're
Okay, so I
you're
got it back.
thinking in a basically a right direction. Just kind of reverse some of that there, and it's kind of like maybe
You're close.
maybe
It's
envision
just
it
the
this
second
way.
one's,
Envision these little Shivas as things that you can trip over, and let's just say that that the first one didn't get you, but then after that it's like you're like whoop.
Pretty much.
So you're still making the Q sound?
The S sound. So meek, and then
Meek.
that's kind of close it right there in a way,
Meek, yep.
and then
And
you
then-
start again.
And then ne.
Necha.
Necha. Meek necha.
Meek,
Oh,
necha.
so there's no canceling out with the Shiva.
It just closes the consonant.
Oh, it makes it, okay.
Yeah. So here it just would be meek. It's like
What does our share?
one way you can look at it is think of it as just like it's almost like the end of the word with nothing else. So when it closes the consonants, it's like you would pronounce it like it was the end of the word. All right. So how did we translate that?
So what's being gathered, the at was the sign of direct
Yeah.
object, being acted upon, what's being acted upon, and pointing to what's being acted upon by the previous verb, which is to gather. So what are we gathering? Mikne, which is normally translated as cattle. And then we have a ha suffix there, which is for you or your, so your cattle.
All right. Tobe old. All right. You got a very easy one there. The eight. Why don't we start with the Vav? What's the Vav? And. It's a conjunction, yep. And then do you remember how the eight here it generally works? So 8 is the sign of the direct object. We have the first sign of the direct object right here, but when it has that makaf, that binder, it uses a sigil. And then when it's is basically with it on its own, of course we have a conjunction here, but when it's on its own, it's using a tsere instead. But it's the same sign of the direct object. So the sign of direct object points from the verb, which is these two verbs, shalach ha'ez, send and gather. It's not actually, the KJV has send, therefore now, and gather. There's no conjunction in between
And
those.
in between.
Yeah, there's no,
Oh, okay,
that's,
is that added
but
back to the action?
from the verb, this verb right here.
Oh, I didn't recognize it.
And then what's happening is, you can continue to repeat the 8. Nehemiah, you can continue to use the 8 over and over and over again, and it'll continue to point back to the previous verb. So you can send and gather all kinds of different things as long as you keep on saying the 8, the 8, the 8. And so it's and then whatever the 8 is going to point to, whatever it's before is going to point to what other things are going to be sent together. Yes, is the sign of the direct object. It definitely has a purpose in biblical Hebrew. Some people will, that haven't really taken a biblical Hebrew class will set themselves up as Hebrew teachers, and they'll get online, they'll say stuff like, oh, the 8 is mysterious, and it means this and this, and it has no real purpose and meaning. It's like, nope, you haven't taken
It's so
Biblical Hebrew
embarrassing.
101.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
It actually does have an integral purpose in
Yeah.
the grammar and understanding. Not to say that it doesn't have
Yeah,
spiritual
exactly. Who knows?
a background of some sort, but it, anyways. So let's go on to Nehemiah.
No, Hava.
We're still getting Javi Ravi up and rolling
What word?
right here.
Bal Atah.
Try it again. What letter is this?
Oh. Call.
And then remember this word, this particular word is an exception. The kamatsu usually does make an
Kol.
ah. So kol. Yeah, it's kol.
Atah. Oh, I read Asher.
Kol asher.
I was thinking.
So do you remember what kol means?
Yeah, all.
All. Yep, all or every, something of that nature. And then do you remember what asher is?
It's like that,
Mm-hmm.
which, when, or to.
That,
So,
which,
to-
when, who,
yeah.
or who.
So,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, all that, all which, something of that nature. Good. Tell me old. All right, and Michelle.
Lecha.
Lecha.
So would that le be the preposition 2 and 2 or 4?
Yes, the lamed is the preposition, yes.
Okay.
2, 4.
And then the ha would be the second masculine singular you or your.
Yep, good.
To all that to your.
Yeah, or to you, yeah, depending on the context, but probably to you, or lecha can be yours, depending on the context. So that can be translated a couple different ways.
So then you don't have to use the to, you can just say yours.
Yeah, in that case you can, yeah. But it could literally be to you, if it makes sense. And in some cases, you might want to translate it as yours.
Okay.
It's like in conversational Hebrew, I can say yeshli. Yeshli means literally there is to me, but really what it means is I have.
Wait, what does Lecha mean?
Lecha means to you or yours. So kol asher lecha, all. I would say just all which is yours in this case. I mean, you could say all which is to you.
Hmm?
It just doesn't sound quite right to me, but I think you get the point across.
We can go with yours.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
I think either way, depending on the
With
context.
the next word, could be to you.
Yeah, you could say
Because
that.
of where they're coming
Oh yeah, it would be like to you in.
from.
Oh, okay.
But the idea is possession here. It's not directional. I think it's possessive usually.
Well, I'll let Baruch and then I'll
Yeah.
comment after this
Yeah.
next word.
What? Wait.
I was getting fellas, don't hate.
You're gonna take it away from Baruch.
Baruch.
Way to pay attention, buddy.
I thought there's 2 other people that were gonna go.
Oh,
I was getting confused.
no, it's the double skip.
Yeah.
Goes right to you, buddy.
So, Casa.
Right here. Right here.
Casa.
That's what letter is that?
Oh, Basade.
Basade. Tov. Ma basade. What is basade? What's a sade? You remember what a sade is?
Masade is you.
A field. Yeah, like Saudi Arabia is literally the field of Arabia. So Sade is a field, or it could be land in some contexts. But do you remember what the ba is here on the front of that word Sade? Nope, not a boom-off rule. The bet is a preposition. Do you remember what it means?
That means and.
What is it?
And.
Did you say and? No, that's a conjunction. That's the vav. So bet, write this down if you don't know this. And again, if anybody else didn't know that, please write this down as well. Mr. Guidon, please stop drawing little pictures, everybody. Pay attention. So the bet as a preposition means in, on, with, yeah.
He wrote it down.
So the patak underneath the preposition communicates the definite article. And so it's in the field. So all which is yours in the field. So, and now send, gather your, again, the context is possessive, your cattle and all which is yours in the field. You could say all which is to you in the field, but it's. And I don't.
Ultra literal.
I don't. But yours is technically that would be ultra literal because that's what it's communicating, literally. It's a possessive form.
I was gonna say all that to you is in the field.
And that
Because
seems
there
it
is
seems
no-
kind of
I would put for you
not as smooth.
in the.
For you in the field.
No, it's
To you, you're gathering them, so you're gathering to yourself, especially where they're put. Well,
Yeah.
it'll get to that.
But
All right.
Anyway,
So we shall
Either way,
continue
so-
on. Yeah,
oh
I
my-
can go.
Kol ha. That's a lot of commas.
Yeah.
Kol ha-adam. Ha-adam. And so kol, once again, is all or every. And ha-adam. This adam, I think is man. And it's got the definite article in front of it. I don't know if we would translate it that way.
Well-
I'd just say, because it's definite.
There's one way because it does communicate, as you know, we don't the definite article just communicates that it's definite, and
Definite.
it doesn't always have to be communicated literally.
As the, yeah.
Because some places you'd say the, right? So how might you make
Every
man how might you make man a definite
Mm.
in the context we're dealing with?
Every
Could
man.
it make it people?
I think you could say every man. I think that would work. You could probably say every man. Because that does put it, I think, in a definite status because it doesn't leave question to which man. It's
Right.
every man.
Right.
Every man. I was kind of thinking, but it probably is not the best for the context here. Is sometimes ha'adam can be translated as mankind, in general, because it specifies. It doesn't leave any them out. It's not indefinite.
Right.
But I don't think that would be best usage here. I think what you're saying is probably
Every man.
yeah, because that also doesn't leave anything
All
out.
mankind.
Yeah, we're trying to communicate in English what's in the Hebrew there. And
I know,
The Hebrew's like,
sometimes
what's the
it-
problem? Why are you schwitzing?
Yeah.
All right. So. Let's try it again. Very close. So the shava underneath the bet there. Do you know why that's a vocal shava in that case, making an eh? No, nope, not because of two shavas. Nope. Are you talking about this right here? That's not a holland. What do you call that? Dagesh. Okay. So the dagesh, when a letter has a dagesh and there's a shava underneath it, that's one of the vocal shava rules. So that's the reason why it's vocal. So how would you do it with a vocal shava there? Good job. Vehabehema. And the emphasis goes on the ma because of the cancellation mark there. Vehabehema. Ma shores vehabehema. Yeah. Behema. What's a behema? The beast. That's where we get the word behemoth from the Hebrew. Seriously, that's where it comes from. So behema is generally a beast. It could be understood as cattle or an animal. And again, in Bereshit, it very well could be a dinosaur when it's dealing with that. And Yov describes some interesting ones
Oh, yeah.
that definitely sounds like they're dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Oh, I'm on a low-carb diet.
Oh, are you?
Yes, that would be.
I don't wanna tempt you then.
Exactly. Exactly right. I've been doing pretty good too.
Good job.
All right. Where is it? There we are. Okay. So that is what the root is, Guidon, right here. So once you identify the root, right, we can identify what's not the root, and it's adding extra information to our translation. So what about the vav there? Conjunction meaning and, and what about the hey?
Meaning that.
Close.
Or
No.
the.
The. It's the definite.
That's what I initially
Yeah.
thought. I would
Just go with what you initially thought. So that's the definite article meaning the. So how would you translate veha behema?
And the behemoth.
Okay, yeah, that would be literal, but and the beast, yep, that would work. You could say the behemoth. Oh, toda raba, achoti.
You're not, no coffee.
Oh no. I will have
That would
to.
break
I will
the
have to
whole
be in
thing.
dire straits.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so, and the beast, or the, we already went with cattle with mikne, so I would just go with beast. All right, and Shelley.
It's not hemisphere.
Oh, Nehemiah. Nice try. Okay, you got this nice,
Open, he was like,
got this nice big one here, buddy.
Asher.
Asher.
Yima'e.
Try it again with the zadi.
Oh. Yimatse.
Yimatse. Ken.
Is there a root?
Ken.
I don't see one. Is it,
Yesh. Shorish. There is a root.
there is?
Yeah. Take a look at your sheet.
Matzah.
Ken. Matzah. What does
Isn't that-
matzah mean?
Bread.
Well, it refers to matzah, right? Which is usually this is not the bread. But what I was going to do a play on that though. This is not the matzah that is bread. But during the Pesach Seder, we break the matzah in half. It's lechamoni, right? And then we hide it, right? And then we play a game of what? Finding it. It means to find.
Oh.
So this word does not mean that what the matzah that you think it is. It is a verb meaning to find or to attain. But use that, your initial thought of matzah, and think of Passover where we have to find the matzah. And it actually is a verb. Does sound like the matzah we eat during Pesach. All right, so going back to that. Now you know what the rid is, right? So what we know the rid is mem tzadi aleph. So the yod is not part of the rit. What is the yod doing to the rit?
Doesn't mean
It is a masculine form. Of course, you want to make sure that it doesn't have a suffix because it could be plural. In that case, you wouldn't want to translate it as he because he's a singular term. And so, yeah, you could translate it as he, but if you're dealing with an inanimate object, or perhaps like like an animal,
It.
yeah, you can go with it. It's technically not neuter, but it is masculine. But in this case, you'd probably want to go with it. Or you can just skip the he or it altogether, just knowing it's in a masculine form. And now here, so this is not the only thing we have this verb. It looks like with the vowels that we have here, we're dealing with a binyan, and it looks like it looks like a nifal to me. I could be wrong. I'm gonna check that out. It is the nifal. Yes.
Good job.
So it was the vowels that tipped me off to that, but also the context. Why would it be the context? Because I know a nifal is a passive form. So why would I think it's passive just based on the context alone?
Because the thing's being bound.
Ah, there we go. Awesome. So, in this case, though, because that's in the past, the yod is going to put it into a future tense as well. It's the other aspect of that prefix.
Okay, so which it will be found?
Exactly. Which will be found.
Which will.
Yeah. Which shall be found, will be found. which may be found. Yimatse. Now let's take a look at the vowels for that there. So we're dealing with the Nifal. If you have your sheets out there for the verb diagnostics, it's good just to go through this each time. So if you see these signs with enough frequency, eventually they start rubbing off on you, and you're like, oh, that must be a this or that must be a that, and then you can double check yourself, and once you find out that you're right, okay. So it is mem tzadi aleph. It might be a third person. Yep, third person or third character aleph rather, and it is in the imperfect. So this is the form. Wait a second, and it's passive. Yeah, that's already passive. So chirik underneath the yod, dagesh in the mem, kamatz underneath the first letter of the rit. Oh look, it even uses the same exact rit. As I'm going through this, I'm like, whoa, it's the same rit even.
That is fun.
So,
There it is.
and that's exactly the form we have. So we have chirik underneath the yod, dagesh, that dot in the mem, and that kamatz underneath the mem. Now, right away, the verb had a different vowel that tipped me off that it was a binyan, because the normal verb pattern for the vowels, as you can see in the word shalach here, let's see, let's take a look at this again here. Yeah, so it's normally the kamatz. The kamatz is the normal first vowel underneath the letter. The second one is normally patach. When it gets changed to the tzere, that tells me there's something else going on there. And of course you have the main sign is the chirik underneath the yod, the dagesh, and then the kamatz. Although the kamatz would be normally underneath the first letter. That would be the form. All right, so we'll keep on trucking here to Michelle.
Pasade?
What was it again?
Pasade?
Yeah, Basade. Yep.
Sada or Sade is the shortish.
Yep.
Which is field.
Yep. Sade's a field. Yeah.
And I believe the vet is a preposition.
Yep. The preposition.
Same thing as the vet. And
Yep.
on over by with against, right?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
The preposition in, on, against, over by with.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, I'm gonna go with in
Mm-hmm.
the field.
Yeah. And
Even
where?
though there's not a definite article, it's kinda,
Actually, where do you get the definite article from this
oh,
one?
the hay? No.
Not the hay. No.
Uh,
In association with the preposition. I just gave you a hint there.
Say that one more time.
In association with the preposition, where do you get the definite article? Tapatach. Yeah. Good job. Next question is why does that vet not have a dagesh?
Because Hashem didn't want to put it there.
Ah, nice try.
Because the dogish went into the sin?
Nope. The patak did shoot a dagesh into the scene, but that's not the reason why the vet doesn't have a dagesh.
Then I.
Okay.
Aviloyada,
All right.
Right? That's
Ken.
correct.
Is it
Atnachon. So, here, you guys write this down. Get down. There, Matt. Okay, so the reason why, because normally a beged kafat letter, a bet gimel dalet kaf pei tav, beged kafat letter, if it's the first letter in a Hebrew word, it will take a dagesh. Here's an exception. The exception to that is if a long vowel precedes a beged kafat letter, like the zere is a long vowel underneath that zadi. But not only a zere, but it is a minor, or rather a servant trope. If it's a minor or a major lord, then this rule will not be consistent. But we found that this is really consistent. Long vowel with servant trope preceding will make an exception for the beged kafat letter, taking its dagesh, and that's the reason why it has the dagesh. In a sense, the servant trope combines the two words, like it's almost like it's one word, and they are meant to be said together. Asher yimatzeh vasadeh. The makaf, that binder between Asher and Yimatzeh, is actually connecting those first two words. So they're actually three words all connected together. But between Yimatzeh and Vasadeh, you have that servant trope which connects them, their combination. And so it's as if the vet, if you know, if it thought things, it's almost as if it thinks that it's not the first letter of the word, and the normal rule that a beged kafat letter, when it is the first letter of the word will take a dagesh, didn't apply. You know, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's like it's not.
I'm
It's
just thinking the vet is self-aware.
yeah, exactly.
Oh wait. I shouldn't
Yeah.
take it
So,
like it.
but basically, it's you shouldn't look at it as being the first letter of a word because it is combined in the sense that you're supposed to say them right together with no breaks. All right, and bawuch
Velo.
velo.
Out.
Lo means no. Ken. And ve?
And.
And.
No.
And no, yes. And no, not, it's just a negative particle. It's just negating whatever comes after that, whatever action or verb comes after that. So, I've got ready to Ben for the next one.
Yeah, safe.
Yeah, safe.
Yeah, safe. So the root is asaf, which means to gather, again, I guess. And it looks like a similar binyan to what we had last time, which would be the nifal.
Yeah. I think the why do you why do you think there's a zere instead of a hirik underneath the yod in this case?
Because of the olive.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it's
It kinda
compensatory
makes it,
compensatory lengthening.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly.
Compensatory.
I think that's exactly what's going on. And what is it compensating for?
For the olive being a guttural. What do you mean?
Oh, well, compared to the previous nifal word that we had, and see what happened after the chirik.
Oh yeah, I can't take a dog.
Yeah, so it's compensating for the lack of dogesh.
Right.
It's almost like it tried to shoot it in there, it's like ricocheted
And
and
nope,
came back
can't do it.
down and laid right down next to the chirik. At least these are the things that go through my mind.
Yeah. Well, and those things make these things stick to me. It's helpful to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, if it's nifal and it'll still be just gather, I guess, and not gather.
Yeah.
How'd they translate it?
Not.
Not be broad.
But you're right, asaf means like to account or to gather, receive, remove, gather in, yeah, it's.
Symbol, be gathered.
And the nifal, it's more like an assemble, like to assemble. It's like the idea of being gathered together as opposed to actively gather.
Well, and they did, and shall not be, where'd that come from? Anyway, not be broad. So we could say not be gathered, I guess. And not be gathered.
Yeah, not be gathered or assembled, something of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, this one's gonna be a hard one. You know, there's a few things going on there. Not to pronounce, but to break down.
Habaita. Tov. Got the emphasis right too. Habaita.
Good job, buddy. Break it down.
Ma shorosh habaita. You can look at your sheet if you like. You have one. You didn't get a sheet? What are you drawing? Are those blank pages you're drawing? Hine. Ze bishmacha.
Behold, your sheet.
Bite, yeah, home, house, yeah. So this right here is for home or house. Everything else is modifying it.
Means
The could mean the, yeah.
the at the end of it means
You right there, buddy?
What was that, right?
I said are during us.
No, the kamat's hey ending Well, kamate in some cases can be a feminine ending. Could in some cases show possession in the feminine, but in the case where you have a word that is, that's normally not going to be on there, and/or is normally feminine already, or just wouldn't take an ending like that ever. In this case, we do have a masculine, but it's always, you never have a feminine version of house, as far as I can remember anywhere in the Tanakh. So, anyways, when you see something that's not normal like that, kamate is what we call the hey local. It's a directional term, so it's like, I don't know. With the definite article, I might translate as towards the house, or maybe even to the house, because it could be towards or to.
You wouldn't think they'd be bringing all their cattle into the house, so.
Yeah, no.
So towards the house.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that many cattle in my house.
No, I don't think so.
You have livestock, you know.
I wouldn't want to.
All right. So, did you catch what that hey local was? So write this down. You have a patak hey on a word that doesn't normally take a patak hey. That could be what we call the hey local. Okay, and then it's a directional term. It means to, towards, something of that nature. For instance, if you see the word Mitzrayim, which is the Hebrew word for Egypt, if you see the word Mitzrayim with a kamatz hey on the end, it would be to or towards that the patak hey. But if you had, for instance, with the word Mitzrayim, if it was Mitzrayim with that kamatz hey, it would be towards Egypt or to Egypt or into Egypt, something of that nature, as opposed to just Egypt. All right. They have this as shall not be brought home. They just don't even really translate that. I wonder if these other literal versions decided to deal with that. Yeah, to the house. So that's reflective of that hey local there. And they even got the definite article there too. Good job for them.
Good job, JP.
This is a nice solid literal translation.
Yeah, it is.
As we studied through it. All right.
It's just the next verse where they announce the name of.
Oh yeah. Well, they try to get so literal that they're just like they go with all the vowels that are sitting there.
And add a J of all things.
I know. That's one thing you kind of have to. But instead
have to gut it out.
instead of complaining about it, we just got to make our own Messianic Jewish literal version.
There you go.
Yeah, man, that would be a massive work, but
It would
be a worthy one.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that out there right now.
Not
None of them go literal.
No.
All right. Michelle. Oh, Nehemiah.
Woke them up.
Okay. Veyard.
Try it again.
Oh, I just read that wrong. Veyrod. Veyrod.
Don't forget the yod there.
Veyarad.
Good. Veyarad. Yep. Veyarad. Mashosh veyarad.
Barad.
Yarad.
Yarad.
So what does yarad mean?
Hail.
No. Nope.
What?
Barad.
I was on the wrong-
Barad is hail.
Oh, I was on Barad.
Yeah. So, but you did read the word that you just read correctly. So yarad, and you said the root was correct.
So you need to come down.
Yeah, yarad means to go down. This is where we get the word Yarden, or otherwise known the name Jordan, like the Jordan River. The idea of yarad, or the Jordan, is something that's going down. It's using a paragogic noun with that particular one. To go down, to descend, to decline. Veyarad. It's the river that you go down and you get to Vila. And you go down, and then you come
Go
up.
down into. Hopefully you come back.
Yeah,
up.
exactly. It is a little dirty.
Yeah,
And we're
it's
not. We
kind
went.
of clean, but there's a lot of.
And they
like,
complained about it a couple
algae
thousand
and-
years ago too.
Yeah. name.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we have a lot better rivers than this.
I know some crystal clear ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, you're like looking at that. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I guess we're going in.
All right.
And it was cold too. Woo. Oh, but that was February. Yeah.
Especially with those sheets that they made us wear.
I know.
Those
Whatever those
Tivila
things are.
sheets, those
Yeah.
baptismal sheet things that we did the Tivila with. It's like, okay. That's fun.
Yep.
All right, so what about the Vav there? Nehemiah, the Vav. And. Okay, so it's a verb. You have your basic verb pattern, the kamatz and the patak underneath the first letter and the second letter there. But the vav is interacting with this verb a little bit in a different way. Do you remember how that, when you have a vav with a shava in front of a verb without a prefix, I don't think this is replacing its prefix because it has, I don't think it dropped it and replaced it because it has the normal verb pattern that we see here. We'll kind of revisit that, but I don't think that it is. So, do you remember what's going on when you put a vav with a shava in front of the verb? Okay, so in this case, it is, yeah, there's no prefix, but in the case there's no prefix, if you have a shava underneath the vav, it should be the vav hahipuk, which is the conversive vav. In other words, it reverses the tense. So the verb tense by itself, by default, is past tense. Otherwise completed or communicated as the complete or the perfect form. So that would be literally, and it also communicates singular and masculine. So literally, yarad by itself would be he went down. That's how you literally translate yarad. Or it went down, depending on what you're talking about. The vav will not only communicate what as the conjunction? And, but now it's going to communicate a future as well. And
You will come down.
and he will go down, or and it will go down. How'd they do that? And they say shall come down, so yeah, they put in the imperfect as well. So, and because it's dealing with something that is not a human, we're just going to say it. And it shall come down. Veyarad. All right, and Michelle.
Aleichem,
Yeah, so where's the emphasis on that?
hem,
Him. So try it again.
aleichem.
And try it with the emphasis on the hem, though.
I did.
You kind of
You
put it on
you
the
put on
side.
the lay.
Aleichem.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes. Alehem, as opposed to alehem. Alehem. Good.
Well, okay. Is the alay the word on?
What was it again? I'm sorry.
Alay, is that the word on?
All.
No.
All is on,
Right,
like on
but
or upon.
Is that
Yeah.
another form of that?
The tzere is a connecting vowel. In this case, it's not really communicating anything. Just connecting the third person plural masculine
But
pronominal
the-
suffix
But the all is on.
on. Yes, good. Yep.
And then the hem is a third person masculine plural there or them.
Good.
So
Good job.
on them.
Yeah, upon them or on them. Good. So v'yarad alehem, and it shall come down on them, upon them. Dov. And oh, habarad. Okay. Again. Ma barad. What is barad? Hail. Yes, it's one of the plagues of Egypt that we talk about during Pesach with the little dots on the napkin. Barad. That's what we say. Hail. All right. So what about the hay here?
Wait, how did I forget that already?
Just say what you think it is.
Hanging.
No? So write this down. It's okay. Just you get this through repetition. Keep writing down every single time because it's another pathway to your brain in addition to hearing it and saying it. So ha means the. It's a definite article. The hey on front of a noun is usually going to be the definite article, which can be translated as the. So how would you translate Habarad?
The hail.
The hail, good. And then the dogish is in the bet in this case because when you have the definite article with the patak underneath it, or kamatz for that matter, usually put the patak, it's going to take the dogish, because usually it's only a kamatz, but you can't take a dogish, I guess. So Habarad, the hail. All right, and Raven.
So I get the last one. Metu.
Vametu.
So the root is mut,
Mut.
which is kind of easy to remember. Mut in Hebrew means mut.
Yep.
Means dead.
Like if you say that's a moot point,
It's a moot
it's like a
point,
dead
yeah.
point.
And so our vav there is a connective and it's not a vav and you think so?
I'm thinking.
Is it? Why? Because it doesn't follow the pattern.
know.
The mem can take the
I concur,
yeah,
but
the dagesh and it's not like it turns
but
into
but
a
here's
kamatz.
the question: why does it have a kamatz at all? It's just
Instead of a shavah,
it's just or a patak.
right?
It's just
Patak with a kamatz.
It just seems like it's
I mean,
irregular in general,
With dagesh.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I think we're just in the twilight zone here.
We're in the
pretty
twilight
much,
zone?
yeah.
Oh.
Because the context, I mean, what did the context tell you would be a future? Because here
See,
is
and it will come
and it
down
shall
upon
come down. It
them.
hasn't happened yet.
Right. And it-
Upon them, the hail, and this hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, but I was going to translate it, and they die.
That'd be,
It shall come down
but that'd be
upon
that'd be an
them,
active form,
the
though.
hail, and they die. But
But if
you
you're
think it's irregular,
but well,
then-
because that would be an active form to die. But if you want to say it's a perfect, then you have to translate it as
they're dead.
and they died. So this is just an
they died.
irregular form. I'm thinking here.
So we just do a,
It's
and
by
they will die.
but biconsonantal forms are just they act
They're
in
kind of
strange
funky.
they act in strange ways. So this is what we can expect when we're looking at the imperfect, or the vav ha'hipuk with the biconsonantal. I think.
Well, they made it by consonantal normally. It's got a sharuk in the middle.
Well, yeah, but anything with a shruk is biconsonantal because it's not considered a consonant.
Like in modern Hebrew, they don't even put it.
Yep.
The vav, they just remove it.
In modern Hebrew, a lot of times they will put it in there just to make a distinction, just so there's no confusion. For
Oh.
instance, I prefer to spell chavarat without the vav,
Uh-huh.
but I've had enough people that get confused they shouldn't, because it's obviously it's a construct form of chavar.
Right, right.
But there's been enough people that get confused of that, and so
Oh.
I've started to put the sharuk in that.
Oh, really?
And so, from what I understand, well, I think it should be understood, for a lot of Israelis, if you don't see the shuruk in there, then it can mean, instead of fellowship, it can mean a company, which kind of is the same thing.
Right.
A company of people and a fellowship of people, it's a collection, right?
Goes on the side.
It's kind of the same thing, but as far as I'm concerned, but there can be those nuances. But for instance, even I've had people.
Of
It's
course
funny.
you have.
Even people that are like supposed to be fluent in Hebrew, if I spell Rosh, Resh, Aleph, Cholam, Shin, instead of putting it with a Cholam Malay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no, not Rosh, but Chodesh. If I put Chodesh with just a Cholam Malay, or I'm sorry, the Chet Cholam Dalet, I think Segel
Oh, yeah,
Shin.
and leave the.
If I just put it,
vav
if I put it with the defective spelling of just the Cholam,
Uh-huh.
they'll be like, "Where's the Vav?" Because
Really?
when there's no vowel points, they want to actually see the Vav, so it's obvious.
Ah.
But my response to them is like, you're a fluid Hebrew reader, you know the context. This is usually how it's often spelled in the Tanakh itself. Why do you need a Vav?
Yeah.
What?
It's just they're used
It's
to
not
it.
misspelled. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
Then the conversational Hebrew, they're so used to seeing it when it's not vowel pointed. It's kind of annoying.
Apparently. Yeah. So, and they will die. They will be dead.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yep. Tov. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and reread through this. Nehemiah, Gidon, Baruch. So you're following along and reading the Hebrew instead of just repeating what you hear. Ve'ata,
Ve'ata,
shelach,
shalach,
ha'ez,
ha'ez,
et,
et,
miknecha,
miknecha,
ve'et,
ve'et,
kol asher,
kol asher,
lecha,
lecha,
basadeh,
basadeh,
kol ha'adam,
kol ha'adam,
ve'habehema,
ve'habehema,
asher yimatzeh
yimatzeh,
basadeh,
basadeh,
velo
ve'lo,
ya'asef
ya'aseh,
habaita,
habaita,
vayarad, I'm sorry, rather, veyarad
ve'yarad,
alehem
alehem,
habarad
habarad,
va'metu.
va'metu, va'metu.
So you can, as those voice inflections that I'm doing there are based on all the cantillation marks that are there. So when I'm coming down, you're looking at a major Lord, which is a pausal form. And when I'm going kind of down, that's usually going to be a servant. As I'm kind of going up, that's often a minor Lord. So you can get a feeling just by, that's how you should basically read it, because that's how you would read a normal sentence, right?
Right.
You would if you were looking at the punctuation, you would read it with various inflections, which would make sense based on the punctuation. So, as you guys learn the three different types of tropes, the servants, the minor lords, and the major lords, I encourage you to read it with that understanding. This is a translation as we go back to the top there, Ve'ata, and now, send, gather, gather your cattle and all which is yours in the field, all, every man, and the beast, which is in the found in the field, and do not gather toward the house, and it shall come down upon them the hail, and they shall die. Okay, let's take a look at the cantillation marks. Go back to Ve'ata one more time here. Ravi'i, that little diamond-looking cantillation mark above the tav of Ve'ata, is a major lord, and it sounds like this. Ravi'i, Ve'ata, and then we have Shalach underneath the lamed is a mapak, and the mapak is a servant trope, and it sounds like this. Mapach, Shalach, and then we have the pashta over the zayin of ha'ez. Pashta, ha'ez, and that's a minor lord, so it just breaks up the next that word in the next word. Et michnecha, we have a zakef katon, which is a major lord, it's pausal. Zakef katon, et miknecha. The 8, we have the tavir. That is a minor lord. I'm sorry, I'm just running that through my head. So tavir is tavir. Ve'et. Kol asher has a mercha, which is a servant trope. Mercha, Kol asher, and then for lecha we have tipcha, lecha. That's a minor lord, so it breaks up the combination. And then we have et nakta, looks like a little wishbone, and et nakta is a major lord. It sounds like this: et nakta, basadeh. And then we have kol adam, where we have the Kadma Azla combination. So it kind of looks like a pashta, but the pashta would be all the way to the left of this dalet as opposed to being in the middle. When it's in the middle, it's Kadma. And the Kadma sounds like this. Kadma, Ol Hadam. So that is a servant trope. The next one for Veha Behema, which is pointed in the opposite direction of the center of letter, is the Azla. And it goes up a little bit higher. Azla
Asla,
vehabehema.
Behema,
And that is a minor lord, so it breaks up the combination for the next word. And then we have Asher Yimatse. The munak underneath the tzadi of Yimatse is a servant trope, and it differs depending on what cantillation comes after it. And we have a revi'i over the dalet of vasadeh. So it's a munak revi'i. And this munak revi'i has kind of like a, what I describe as a Tarzan sound. Munach
Muna,
Yimatse.
Yimatse,
And then the revi'i over vasadeh is revi
Revi,
vasadeh.
Vasade.
And that is a major lord. It's a pausal form. Again, the pausal forms communicate things like periods and commas. The velo, where we have a mapach underneath the lamed, again is mapach,
Mapa,
velo,
Velo,
it's a servant trope. And then we have a pashta over the facial feet of Yasef. Pashta,
Pasta,
Yasef.
Vease,
It's a minor lord. And then we have a zakef katon, which is a major lord, over habaita. Zakef katon,
Sakif Katon,
habaita.
Habaita,
And then we have Veyarad, where we have a Darga. Yeah, okay. So the Darga is the serpent trope. It's in combination with the Tavir, as it often is. That's actually one of my more favorite combinations. So the Darga sounds like this. A Darga,
Darga,
Veyarad.
Veara,
And then underneath Alehem, we have the Tavir, underneath that Hey. Tavir.
Tevi,
Alehem.
Alehem,
And that is a minor lord, so it breaks up the combination. And then we have Habarad, where we have the Tipcha, it's a minor lord. Tipcha.
Tikha,
Habarad.
Havara,
Remember, the emphasis always goes where the cantillation mark is. And then we have the Sof Pasuk, which is the colon-looking thing. It tells us this is the end of the verse. The vertical line is telling where the emphasis goes for the Sof Pasuk. There's 3 different types, and we're going to do the most common one here. Sof Pasuk.
Sopasu,
Vametu.
Vametu.
So we're going to do combinations. We're going to go back and do it one more time. It does wonders for your pronunciation as you're reading, as you get to go through it so many times. But we're going to do the combinations and the pauses all together. Ve'ata.
Beata,
Pause. Shelach ha'ez
Shalach ha'ed,
et miknecha
et miknecha,
ve'et
ve'ed,
kol asher lecha
kol asher lecha,
basadeh
basadeh,
kol ha'adam ve'habehema.
kol ha'adam ve'hemehemema.
We'll try that again.
That's a lot of syllables.
Kol ha'adam ve'habehema.
Kol ha'adam ve'habehema.
טוב, אשר יימצא בשדה.
Asher matzeh basadeh,
ולא ייאסף
velo yeaseh
הביתה.
habaita,
וירד עליהם.
ve'yarad alehem,
הברד
habarad,
ומתו.
vametu.
טוב מאוד החברים שלי. Very good, my friends. Alright, so let's go to verse 20. And Ravens, I know, we can do wonders in 20 minutes.
Where did we stop?
Ravens got verse 20 for our translator. Who knows? You might be able to get past the next one too. It's
Her red blood.
You are
it's a
funny.
short one, so we might be able
It's
to.
not that short.
Let's get cracking.
Oh, I think you did.
No,
All right, Gidon, you're first up, buddy.
Yeah. Hayare.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yara is usually what it is. And that's the verb. So this is the thing, fear. Like it's like a description, more of a descriptor here, an adjective in this case. That's why it's yare as opposed to yara. Well, they're actually listing yare here, but it's usually yara. Why are they listing it as yare? Let's see what they got going on here for the Jacinius. Oh, they have it as yare here as well. Yare, alright. To fear. Thank you
So
for
we
your attention,
don't-
Raven.
What else is going on with that thing?
Well, you got the ha, you got the yo.
Mhm.
So, ha means the.
Mhm.
The yod means
Mhm.
show. Ye the beard.
He the feared. I think the yod, I could be wrong, but it's part of the root. It's not added.
Oh, right. So
I
just
think
the beard.
the fear, yeah.
Beard.
Cause that does, when it has the hay with the potok underneath there and it puts the dagesh in the next letter, that's the way you indicate the definite article,
Right.
which sometimes you don't have to translate if it's definite already, but
It seems though with the verb, something else is going on here.
it's not the.
I know they're listing it as an adjective, but yare is also the technical verb there, and they do list it as an action, don't they? Kind of.
I like the fear. I don't know.
It's. I mean, I
think-
guess you
think
could.
it's more of a verb.
I mean, I guess you could say it looks like it to me, but I guess if you're using it from that adjectival standpoint, it could be like fearful. You know, descriptive. The fearful.
It kind of looks.
You could go that way, I guess.
In construct with the next few words.
But if you're gonna say he that feared, that you're using a verb, you're using it as a verb there.
I wouldn't say he that feared.
How would you translate it?
The fear of, maybe.
But
Because in,
oh, you know what? You also have a sign of the direct object, which tells you what?
that's true.
Tells you're probably dealing with a
A verb.
verb.
Huh.
I would say that looks a lot like. Hey, stop. That could be that Nephal form.
Really? Okay.
Like the one we had last week.
Yeah, that was different.
Let's take.
I don't have that little sheet.
Let's take a look at that. So Yara, Yod, Resh, Aleph.
Yep. Yod, Resh, Aleph.
Um,
Third letter Aleph right there. But we have a papa with the dagesh, which
you have the hay. So I think it was a.
right, the hay with the papa and the dagesh. You see that?
Oh, I
anywhere?
think it was. Let's see here. Where was this? That we were. You guys. No.
First letter. No.
I guess
Because last week we saw it was exactly on there.
It could be that it was.
Because we thought it was a he field, but it ended
Yeah.
up being
I wonder if this
Nephal.
one is a he fail in this case. Let's take a look at that. They're not listing it. It's like they don't want to touch it.
because the he field has that kind of combination. I mean, it still doesn't have the Hirikyod infix though.
Yeah, interesting. goes here. Yeah.
You know, if it is just the fear, though, the next word still effective. It's the fear of what? And
Hava, come over here, sit next to me right now, please. Thank you.
you know what I mean, Robert?
It could be a regular form we're just not seeing on here, but you know, it's, I
Because
don't
if
think it's a construct though.
If you say, well,
It must be a verb because of
in
the
context, it could be in context, because you know what the next word means. So the fear, if you say of the, because it's still definite, the fear of the first three words, you know.
Right, but you'd have to almost ignore
That's how I would
the
think.
sign of the direct object because it's pointing from the verb to what.
Well, not really, because it's pointing to what's being feared.
Right, that's what the sign of direct object does. It points
I know.
from the action to what is being feared, and that's how they actually translated it. They put a verb, and then that's pointing to what's being feared. That's
But
exact-
even if it's the fear of what? At the next word. Fear of. I don't have a problem translating it that way.
It just seems like it is we're just dealing with an irregular form of some kind here. I think it's, let's take a look at some of the forms here that we have for the Yare. See what we have to work with in the first place. Let's go to Yare here.
And we could always go to literal too.
Yeah. So it is only found in a call and a nefal. So the call wouldn't have a hey. The nefal could have a hey. Well, oh, wait a second, hold on. Did we even look at that? Yeah, we did, didn't we? And it could just be in a regular form of the nefal. Back over here. I can see why they didn't list anything. It's funny, they translated it as a verb, but they didn't want to actually list the verb, you know what I'm saying? Oops, let's see here. It's hard not having that. There we go. But if it was
It's
in
a subtle difference between like the root of like he feared versus fear as a kind of a thing.
the nefal doesn't have that commas underneath the hey is the only thing about that.
No.
Is why it's kind of throwing me for a loop. It's just, but you know, we're going to find some of these irregular forms that are just not going to be listed here because this is not an exhaustive
Yeah, that's true.
sheet. And, but it does look like a verb to me, and it looks like go back here. So we know that it's found in the call, which the hey would make no sense in the call.
Right.
Potentially in the nefal. And the PL.
And that's if it's a verb instead of an adjective.
Yeah, verb.
That you're-
Yeah, the et is, I think, telling us it is a verb. I don't think we can get around that. Otherwise, you just have some stray ets sitting around there, you know, that we just have to hop over. And you don't have any hey, you know, and I didn't think we did, but I just double checked. There's nothing in the PL. So what I'm doing is I'm narrowing this down. PL is obviously not it.
No.
It has a hey in front of it. It can't be the call. Which leaves us with nefal. It's the idea of, and look, we have to be fearful. the idea is to be fearful, and then you have a sign of the direct object, the et, pointing to what they were fearful of. This has to be some irregular Nephal form. That's the only, I don't know, that's my personal conclusion. I don't think I can come to any other conclusion. Because I have to deal with the et, which tells me it's definitely a verb. And from what they're listing as the possibilities, unless of course they missed one, but I think they're probably right on this. It has to be, I think
Let's look at the
I
literal
think they're doing the
sense of
same
it.
thing we are, and that that's why they didn't want to list a tense
Because
here.
it's irregular.
Because it's so regular, they're just like scratching their heads, and we've seen them do that before when it's a
Yeah.
slightly difficult one. That's what I pick it as, though. It's in a regular Nephal.
You wanna see what the literal
Yeah.
says?
Yeah. Let's see.
See what they say.
Absolutely. The one who feared. They put it in the verb form. The word of Hashem. CLV literal has it as
The one fear.
the one fearful of the word.
And young.
Young. Oh, we do we?
They said he. They did do that. He.
Who is
But
fearing? You could see the yod as potentially being a replacement, maybe of that. I don't know.
yeah.
Of course, Young's
that's
always
a tough
always
one.
puts it in the active, but he
Yeah.
he sees it as a verb too. But with that et, I don't know how you could not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my best guess. Nephal. Strange Nephal.
So how would we say that would be just
You know,
feared?
I wonder if it's like a.
He feared?
Oh, I didn't look at if it was a participle. I wonder if it's a weird participle or an infinitive form of the Nephal. Where's my Nephal?
Right, that's what I was thinking of participle. But then that gets rid of the et situation too.
Well, no, because it'll still be a verb in that case. Let's see here. We're dealing with the verb. Third.
You're gonna be blind.
Yeah.
Still gonna
No, that
blind.
wouldn't be a participle, but infinitive. It could be a weird infinitive, but obviously it's not a chirik in this case.
So that's adding that ing, you mean like
Yeah.
he fearing.
Or like, or
I
the,
like he fearing.
or the idea of just simply like the active sense.
Fearing.
Yeah. Fear. Well, that's like, but it's passive because it's a Nephal. So they were full of fear. I don't know. Anyways,
So what do you think?
I would say the one fearful. I think the even though the hey probably is a Nephal form, the idea is it's in the singular. So, but you could look at it Yoda as like the one in the literal that says, "Is he that feared?" Feared. He who is fearful.
That's a tough one. You do that.
He who is feared. Who is.
He.
You could say fearful of, even though it's technically not a construct.
But in context, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You could make
Yeah.
all three of the first
Yeah,
words.
as long as it's, using a verb form there, but yeah. Okay, I think we've mulled over that enough there.
We should just go do speed mode because we only have 2 minutes.
Yes, we will go as fast as we can. If anybody has to leave, we understand too, so.
Go ahead, Haley.
We're gonna do speed mode.
Yeah, so get to it.
No, this is slow mode. At the bar.
It's Devar.
And the bar means word.
Yes, and technically here, oh yeah, Raven's translating, so go ahead, Raven, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, Devar, when it's spelled with a kamatz and then followed by a
Kamatz.
patak, it's that's the verb to speak or
Oh, yeah.
say or tell. But when it has two commas, that becomes word, thing, or matter type of thing. So word works well for this thing. And why it changed to the bare, I mean, normally that would indicate like imperative or something. But
If it was a verb.
if it was a verb,
The noun.
then with the Shabbat, I can't remember. What does that indicate?
In that case, it's going to be like more of a construct form.
Ah.
In the
Yeah, I
sen-
just figured it was construct just by context. but-
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, that's good.
Devar Hashem.
Yeah. And when it's in construct, you can infer the definite article the. So, he feared the word of. I'll just say the next one, Hashem.
What? We didn't into that.
So now we can, oh no, you're not getting away with the daddies.
Keep it rolling.
May I have day?
May have day. Good.
So the mem is the preposition from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Devar, no. Sorry.
the root,
Avid is a shorish, which means servant or slave,
Evan, and they kind of change it to,
right?
yeah.
I'm not really sure what the Seder Yod is doing there. I tried to look that up and I couldn't find it. So,
Okay, that's the.
That's why you gotta read it.
oh, that worked.
That's
Hook me up, bro.
That's the masculine plural construct ending when you have a set AO.
Yeah.
So that's what changes it from.
Masculine what?
From the servant, but to the, from the servants of masculine plural construct.
You said it's of?
Yeah. When it's in construct, it's definite, so you have the, and then whatever the word is, in this case, servant, and then it's, because of the set Yod made it plural, so
So then it'd
servants
be-
of.
Servants of. Otherwise, we may have a deem. Just have the
Okay, I get it.
yod mem safit for the plural masculine form.
From servants of.
Yeah.
Got it. Because it's Seder Yod is making that a masculine plural
Construct. Yeah.
Got it.
It's like when we say Elohei Israel, it's the God
Where is
of
that on here?
Israel. It's somewhere.
Oh, okay, cool.
But now it's
I'm glad
it's
I'm the
written.
only one that couldn't find it.
But now it's written on the other sheet.
Right there. Right there.
Over the, I would spend more time finding it, but we're gonna keep on rolling here. So we're not here till 8:30.
Goes to Shelley, she's just doing it right now on IT. Hello. Hello.
Bo.
Get,
Bo.
go, stop holding us up.
You're holding up the situation. Oh,
Paro.
it's 8 o'clock. Ah, see?
It's 8:01.
Yep, Pharaoh. Yeah.
Yep, Pharaoh.
It's always Pharaoh in English because in the Greek it is spelled with a phi, which always spelled with a phi, the Greek letter phi, and so it always gives the F sound. In Hebrew, although it's usually paro properly,
Sometimes.
in some cases it's pharaoh if the long vowel precedes it with a servant stroke, which is this is a long vowel here, but it's not a servant stroke, so that's why it maintained its doggish in this case. Yeah, paro. Yeah, properly in Hebrew is paro.
Alright.
Hey.
So I guess I'll do the next one.
Mhm.
Hey, Neen. Oh, hey, niece.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's that weird word, noose, which means to flee. And it's in a binyan.
Yep. Flee the noose.
Let's see, is that, I don't have my cheat sheet. Is that the, Ifio?
I think it is. Let's take a look at that here. Yes,
Yay!
it is the he feel.
Which is Kazu.
Yep.
So, cause to flee.
Yeah. Cause to flee. They have it as just flee, but by itself, and they call it's to flee, to escape. The Hefeel is to put to flight, to drive hastily. So that's more of a it seems like it's intensifying just a little bit in those translations. To put to flight, to drive hastily. But you could say
And,
cause to
you
flee,
know,
and that would be obviously very positive.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm going with it. So you get the next one, get on, good timing, buddy.
Yeah, Ken.
Good job.
Atavadav.
The root Mahashorish, that's the root. Well, it's Evid.
Evid.
Those three words.
What's Evid mean?
Evid just,
Does it mean sword? No, sword is.
Feeling like your premise for words you learned? Well, Raven will tell you. Write it down.
so Evid just means servant or slave usually.
Servant,
Oh,
slave.
right.
Evid.
And then what's the et? You know that.
It points back to that cause of it, action causing it.
And it points back to the last verb, which was to flee, cause to flee. What's fleeing is this. So, servant, and remember what the vav as a pronominal suffix, what that means. That's on the cheat sheet, on the
Right.
back of it.
It means like.
No. You apparently need to go through those again.
No.
Raven will tell you that.
Him or his.
Remember the Vav?
Right.
So, his servant.
And it looks like it's because of the kamatz yod in this case. Sometimes it will be a singular, but in most cases, if you look at the back of the sheet, that's a plural form. So whatever is possessed is in the plural.
I don't have the back of the sheet.
Um,
I'll take your word.
Let's see if I can. Suffixes. Oh, there we are. Okay. So type 1, whatever is possessed is in the singular. Type 2, whatever is being possessed is in the plural. So, for instance, let's use the word sus, which means horse. Susecha is your horse. Susecha is your horses. And it's the end of the line.
Nice. I forgot that.
Yeah, I know.
Not that you care, but that was the only word from when I was a kid that I could remember for the longest time.
Sus?
It's
Yep.
one of the words they use
I don't know
to
why,
teach you all
but-
the suffixes. So they probably used it a lot to teach you
Yes,
other
they
Hebrew.
did.
Because it's an easy word. Sus means horse. Okay. Now, what's susot mean? What's susim mean? What's susacha? And it is sus.
Oh, that would explain why I remember that.
It reminds me of a certain doctor that likes horses.
Hilarious.
All right. Moving on. Let's see.
Your shoes. Okay. And he deadpanned it, so that made it better. Okay, you're back up.
I thought it was the hemisphere. I haven't gone yet.
Oh, is it hemisphere? I thought you did it. Oh.
No, he did it.
Guidon did it.
I
I'm
get confused sometimes too. Don't worry
I'm
about
so
it.
confused.
It's okay, I'm here to help you out.
Thank you.
You're
I need it.
The et?
You need that.
Yeah.
Michenehu.
What'd you say? At what?
At
It's not a guttural sound, so.
Oh, wait. Michenehu.
No, it's not a vocal savant.
Meek.
Meek. And then you gotta put the emphasis on the sere.
Nehu.
Yep. Meek Nehu.
at the end of the day.
Mikneu.
Ve'et miknehu. Let's keep on rolling.
So,
We're almost
Emmy,
there.
what does that mean? You're the one that wants to get out of here and you
That's
just
what I was
bow
gonna
out of the whole thing.
I don't know.
He's defaulting to I don't know.
You're holding us up heavy.
Oh man, you're killing us. Because we had Mikne a million times already.
Oh, it doesn't mean.
Remember it was beasts or cattle?
Oh yeah.
Remember? Whew.
That was supposed to shoot.
Whew. And then, so, you remember what who
Yeah.
who is? What?
He.
Yeah, good job. Or his possessive. So what's everything else? What's be'et?
The verb is in.
Yeah?
The top. Oh no.
Female. Okay, I'll help you out. Remember, it's the sign of direct
Oh
object.
yeah.
Okay. Which points back to, so we have a couple ets in a row, so it points all the way back to the last verb, which was nous, which is to flee. So what's fleeing?
Clean.
His servants and his cattle or beasts.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle, you get the last word.
El Habatim? Yeah, that one.
El habatim.
How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
So the El is the preposition 2 and 2 or 4.
Mhm,
Good job.
Good.
The Hey is the definite article D.
Yep.
Ba'it is the root, which is house.
Right.
However, you have the im at the end, which makes it a masculine plural, which turns it into houses.
Oh.
Houses.
So from the houses or to the houses?
I would say two because.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the,
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Here. Oh, where'd that go?
And once again, we don't want our beasts and cattle in the house, so it's kind of
Yeah.
weird that there's no form there
To the house, not not into.
to. Yeah.
If it was Baba
Or-
team, I would be concerned. But it's El Habatim.
Yeah. So we could say toward the houses.
Sure, yeah.
What?
Or just to the house.
We could, or to the house.
I mean-
But we don't want them in.
Don't confuse me, I got this down. 2 and 2 or 4.
I mean, if you drive to the house, you're not driving into the house.
Right.
You know, you're just driving to it.
Okay, that's good.
No
So,
curveball.
let's just wrap this up.
Yes, yeah, let's wrap this up.
Hayare
Hayare
et hadavar
et hadavar nechemia.
Hashem
Hashem
me'ab me'abdei
me'abdei
paro
paro
henis
henis
et ha'avdav et avadav.
et avadav
It's been a long time for me too.
Give it
Ve'et
better, Ahi.
miknehu
ve'et miknehu
el habatim.
El Habatim.
So, I'm not sure how we, he who feared.
Sure, that works.
Okay, he who feared the word of Hashem from the servants of Pharaoh or Pharaoh caused to flee his servants, the servants of his, and his cattle or beasts to the houses. So even the Egyptians
Oh, yeah. Any who
that feared Hashem.
that believed him.
Yeah, and
Well,
apparently there was
a
quite a few
multitude
of them.
crowd, right?
Yeah.
There was a
Mixed multitude that
yeah,
left.
that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You want to blaze through the cancellation marks here?
Oh yeah, you know me, I'll just blaze. Okay, so the first one's Pashta,
Pashta,
Hayare.
Hayare,
Then we have a Munach, and you gotta find out what Munach, that's Munach Sakit Katon, so that's 3 steps up, sounds like this. Munach,
Munach,
et devar.
et devar,
Make it harder than it is.
Adonai.
Oh, Zakev Katon.
Zakev Katon. It's okay. That goes down the same
Okay.
way.
And then we have a Tivcha,
Tivcha.
Me'avdei.
Me'avdei.
And we have a Etnakta,
Etnakta.
Par'o.
Para'o.
Then we have a Tevir, sounds like Tevir.
Tevir.
Henis.
Henis.
And we have Mercha Tikha, and that's just a normal Mercha. Mercha.
Mercha.
Et Havadav.
Et Abadav.
Did I say it wrong?
You said Havadav.
Oh, did I? Sorry.
Sounds like Hava, like something.
I saw Hava there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
what made me
Hava on the brain.
I'll blame it.
All right.
Tivcha.
Tivcha.
Ve'et Miknehu.
Ve'et Mignehu.
And then Sofasu.
Sof Pasuk.
El Habat. El Habatim.
El Habatim.
Very good, everybody. Oh, you're not gonna let me off the.
What kind of rabbi would I be?
Okay.
Good try.
The pasta though, that's a minor word, so you stop there.
Right.
That's the first one. Okay. All right, I'll try to do this. Oh, it sucks everything out of me. Okay, gear up, maybe. Vayare.
Hayare.
Did I do that wrong? Hayare.
Hayare.
Okay. Et devar Adonai.
Et Devar Adonai.
Me'avdei.
Me'avdei.
Par'o.
Par'o.
Henis.
Henis.
Et Havdav. Wait, I did a hey again. Et Avadav ve'et Miknehu.
Et Abadav ve'et Mignehu.
El Habatim.
El Habatim. Don't be all, you know, it's so bad.
At least it was
I knew
short.
you could do it,
just
brother.
make
At
it
least it was short.
You make it harder than it is.
I do. I get kind of freaked out until I get it
Good job.
down. All right.
All right. Can we close in prayer?
Okay, guys, so homework for next week is verses 21 and 22. 21 is pretty short, so you should be able to get to that pretty quickly, and 22, and maybe with the short verse, we can maybe get to 23.
Maybe.
So,
All right. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just we thank you so much for your word, Father. May we not take it for granted. May we be in studying it as often as we can, Lord. And we just ask that you set a flame in our hearts to be in your word, Father. And we thank you for the holy tongue of Ivrit. May you hide this, that we learn in our hearts. We thank you for this place that you've given us to study. And we just thank you for loving us first. Help us to love you back by following your ways, Father. We just thank you for everything in Yeshua's name.
Amen. Amen. All right, guys, feel free to email me Hebrew questions. I don't get enough emails from Hebrew students.
Wait, what?
I said I don't get enough emails from Hebrew students asking Hebrew questions, which tells me there's not a whole lot of independent studying going on besides the class here.
Okay.
Naughty, naughty.
You know, Rabbi, I've confessed to this before. I never study.
Yes, thank you for your honesty.
You're welcome.
But I'm just inspiring you to study, nonetheless. Because studying's good. I mean, I don't know. It helps.
And I'm